What's good, Lucas? Yo, what's up, Mark? Are you ready to French fries this episode?
Hell yeah, I got hell of a scoop for you, so cool it down and let's just jump right in.
Ooh. Oh man, loving that wordplay. All right, bro. Get started with this episode.
Alrighty. It is summer. Everywhere. And it's freaking hot. What do you want, Lucas? You're outside, it's 30 degrees. What are you feeling? What is the craving that you have?
Oof, besides an ice pool, a good scoop of ice cream.
Hell yeah. Ice cream is the place to go to. Oof.
Oh,
Also,
fuck yeah.
Everyone that doesn't like ice cream, I don't trust you. Not gonna lie to you.
Definitely makes it hard to trust. Like, if you're telling me you're in the last week for preparation for a bodybuilding competition, yes, I get it. But it's not like you don't like ice cream. You just like, you have other priorities. But if not, man, not sure whether I can trust you for sure.
Hell no. Fuck that shit. All right. Lucas, what are we coming up with this topic now? What did we do yesterday?
All right, we went yesterday to ice cream place. It's called Lucciano. Super cool place. And yeah, Mark, what did you discover? I mean, now that we're in full podcast mode, what do we always ask? What do we always do?
All right, we figure out how the business works and how to make that money. Alrighty.
Exactly.
So yesterday we're standing in line. I ordered my ice cream. I got lemon pie, delicious. Let me tell you, and maracuya because fuck yeah, you gotta have some sorbet
Best
in there.
flavor. Best
It
flavor
is
there
delicious. For sure. So, anyways, I keep walking after I got my ice cream. I see, whoa, what's there? A QR code. Let me scan that bad boy. What does that say? Franchising. Interesting. Scan it. Boom. I'm on the website. This thing is a freaking franchise business. So it's like, what the heck? This is so cool. Let's put it on the pot. Told Lucas, and here we are.
Let's go. All right. You want to split it up? And what are the parts, Mark? First, we want to talk about what a franchise is, or do we assume that our listeners do know what it is?
Lucas, you give a quick intro into franchises, and then we jump back into the topic of the ice cream, and then I explain them, and I paint a picture how Lucciano looks like, and then we go into the details.
Ooh, I mean, luckily we have video here as well. I mean, some also bad because they see our faces, but you know, hey, could be uglier,
ugly
but
motherfuckers.
Hey. All right, so what are franchises? So franchises are basically no, I want to start differently. So if somebody doesn't want to work for somebody else, their dream is to start their own business. Now, if you start your own business, you have a lot of risks, right? So if you're a startup or tech, it's normally involved like only 1 out of 10 makes it, 9 out of 10 fail. But if you still want to be your own boss, a good alternative are franchises. So what are franchises? So franchises are basically, let's say, companies. For example, McDonald's is a franchise. So what you can do, you can just buy into McDonald's. So you can say, hey, I want to apply to have my own franchise like McDonald's, open my own location. Then there are certain requirements, which we're going to talk about in a second. And then you can open your own store. And then you're paying a franchise fee to the franchise owner. So basically, to McDonald's, you're paying a fee to use their marketing requirement and everything, right? Be also integrated in their supply chain, etc. So that's how franchises work. But we're going to be more in detail in a second, just to give you a quick overview, let's put it this way. And yeah, Mark, now be a Picasso and paint the picture of Lucciano.
All right. So Lucciano, this one here in Barcelona, first of all, there's 3 types of Luccianos in terms of franchises. There's a kiosk, there's a standard, and there's a flagship. So the one they have here in Barcelona is a flagship store. So obviously these are different sizes. Exactly. So Lucciano, in this one, in each city and each branch, there's different types of styling. This one is like moon-wise. It's like all about rockets or going to the moon out of like extraterrestrial experience. Really cool. Like it. So you go in, there's like everything in white. It looks like you're on the NASA station or somewhere out in outer space. Super cool. And you have a rocket. It says Lucciano's, and like it's super cool. So you go in there, and then everyone has wearing like spacesuits. The people the employees that work there, so you have their little uniforms. Really well done. So why am I painting these pictures, and why did I mention these specific sizes? Because these are hard costs or initial costs and different costs depending on the size that you want to open. So I went on the website, like I said, I scanned the QR code. I was like, oh, all right, you can apply here. And what are the requirements? So basically, to open a kiosk, the initial investment is roughly $200,000.
Just
Then,
to just to
just
give
to
you an
open the
overview,
store.
so that's for a flagship store, right? Or is this for the kiosk?
So this is a kiosk. Kiosk is 200,000. Then the standard is 450,000, and the flagship is 750,000.
750,000 is definitely a big number. I mean, but just to give you a comparison, McDonald's. So we want to compare Luciano with McDonald's, like probably the biggest franchise in the world right now. So
Let's do that later, Lucas. Let's just jump in now. Do this, and then we
alrighty.
jump into that.
I'm too
Because otherwise, we're
excited
gonna.
though.
I know. Stop. We're getting there, bro. We're getting there. We're gonna go this.
Alrighty.
Otherwise, it's gonna be too confusing. All right, because
Alrighty.
we're gonna have a lot of numbers coming, and I know numbers in podcasts are annoying and super hard to do. All right, let's jump into the cold hard costs, Lucas. I mentioned already, Kiosk 200,000, standard 450, flagship 750. Barcelona, it's a flagship store, so these guys
for
paid
sure.
750,000 just for initial investment, setup costs, etc., like creating the branch, all the designs. All right, now let's jump into monthly operating costs. So you have to consider lease, utilities, salaries, marketing and advertisement, and I don't know, miscellaneous stuff like cleaning, maintenance. So, because what do you think about lease? What are the costs like? What do they look like?
I mean, in Barcelona itself, it's a big store. Yeah, like 4 to 6K. Let's say the average 5. So I think it's a huge, pretty big store, and it's like pretty good location for those people who know Barcelona. It's a little bit above Plaza Catalunya, just one street above. So yeah, it's roughly 5K.
There's a lot
Let's
of
say
tourists. Yeah.
yeah, and it's good foot traffic. But yeah, Mark, let's just walk quickly through the numbers. And
All right, I will
yeah.
do it quickly. All right, so we counted lease 5,000, salary all included. You probably need 6 full-time employees because it's super busy there. The line is
Yeah.
always outside, but this is because it's very popular, right? Not just because you open it, it's because it's a popular brand. People know it. It's really good. The service is really good. It's high-end. It's premium also, so they have higher prices, but really good. Coming to the total cost of operating costs per month, $22,800. All right. Now we come into cost of production. So I did some research. I have no idea. Luciano does not say how much it costs, but I came to the conclusion that it costs per scoop. Per scoop, I'm defining scoop now as one measurement of how much they're selling in one volume as average.
I mean, these scoops are really, really important, the measurement, because we also measure output in scoops, right? So what we did on a calculation is basically measuring, let's say, how many people work there on average. So basically we say, hey, even though there are 6 people working, let's say you need only 3 people scooping all the time, and they scoop, they take for one person, so one serving, 2 minutes, because I was like, oh, I would like to have this flavor. Maybe this one, so it takes time, and then we calculated how many scoops or servings they can offer per day. That will be important later on.
All right. So then we have upper limits, obviously, how much they can do maximum, and then you have a rounding error or what you put in average, etc. So we're just going to do average, and we're going to have a couple of assumptions that we go into a little bit of detail, okay? All right, so cost of production is roughly between 60 to 60 cents per $1.50 per scoop. This is the
Per
cost.
serving, right?
But
This is like
per serving. Let's say scoop is a serving, per serving, okay?
yeah.
Obviously, these costs are depending. We're just guessing based on my research. This is for artisanal, for smaller brands. So that means if you go on a franchise, they have economies of scale, so they're probably going to be on the lower end. For this sake, we're going to go with $1.50 per serving. All right, Lucas, what are the revenue streams and our assumptions?
So revenue streams, or our assumption, let's put it this way, is basically that you have 3 people scooping all day, and we have like 12 or 14 hours. That's what we did. And they take 2 minutes per customer per serving. And then yeah, we just multiplied this, and that's how we got around, I think, 1,000 scoops more or less per day, which is 1,000 servings, which is quite a lot, to be honest. If you say that the average price between 4 and 6 or 7 euros. Yeah.
All right, so we're getting, that means 1,000 scoops, 1,000 servings at $5 a pop. That makes you $5,000 in revenue per day. All right, this revenue does not include ancillary revenue. That means like merchandise, special events, catering for birthdays, selling on Uber Eats, etc. Because nowadays you can not only buy like the small cones, etc., but you can buy these cartons that
Yeah.
are in a styrofoam, so they're very well insulated, and you can send it out really quick, which makes it obviously much more profitable because you don't even need the people there. You can just have
Yeah.
directly cost of goods sold. The delivery cost is taken care of by Uber Eats, and you just have your profit margin, your margin directly in there. So
And
super
then you
smart.
sell like half a liter or liter, which goes
Exactly.
between like 20 something to like 30 something euros for sure. So yeah.
Exactly. So great business model. But coming back, segment 4, Lucas, let's crunch the freaking numbers. All right.
Let's
We
go,
did it.
baby.
Starting off with gross profit margin. All right. We have costs 30,000, which 30,000 scoops per month, because we said 1,000 scoops per day, or scoops / servings at $1.50. That's 45,000 a month. Sales, we said 1,000 obviously per day. That's 30,000 servings per month. That's 100 at $5. That's 150,000. All right, so that leaves us a gross profit of 105,000, which leaves it a gross margin of 70%. Obviously, this does not include the cost of goods
Operating
sold,
costs.
etc. Exactly.
Operating
Sorry,
costs,
not the cost
etc.
of goods sold, the operating cost. It doesn't include
Yeah.
operating costs, just the cost of goods sold. All right, bro, Lucas, jump into the net profit, and then we go into more detail into the franchise, etc.
Here we go, baby. All right. So basically, we have the cost of 105K, right? Then we said we have salaries, etc. So that's 22,800, because we said like, okay, 6 employees, 6 to 7. That cost between, especially here in Barcelona, like let's say 3K, because like normally the people who scoop, they probably scooping for like minimum wage. And yeah, so we calculate with 22,800. That makes it
all operating costs,
yeah.
salaries, lease, utilities, everything.
Yeah, that's all included in that one, because that's what we did the calculation earlier on, and that's like net profit of 82,200. And Mark, what are the margins then? What is that in
Well,
percentage?
obviously, that's a percentage of 54.8%. But wait, this is not net profit yet, right? Because we're saying this is a franchise, right? All right,
Yeah.
I wasn't able to find out the numbers for the actual franchise fees, and so I'm just making an assumption based on something else we saw from McDonald's, etc. So I'm guessing like 15% of like top line of revenue, you have to share them back into the franchise.
Yeah.
So quick math, that's 150,000 per month. 15%, that's 22,500. Going back to the other calculation, you have to obviously deduct that from the cost, which leaves you a net profit margin of 39.8%, or $59,700 per month. All right, so what is the break even? We said 750,000 as a flagship store. This is all the math that we did for it. Is the initial investment. So it takes you 12.56 months to break even. Not bad, right?
That's actually really, really good. I really, really like that. I mean, especially when preparing for this podcast, we analyzed a lot of other franchises, especially like McDonald's, and McDonald's, for example, it's a little bit more complicated because, for example, you don't pay rent directly to, because you don't have to rent the location. You basically rent the land from McDonald's itself. So McDonald's owns most of the land itself. And this is actually based on sales. So let's say you have a sale each month between 1 and 2 million, and then it charges between 10 and 12% of your total sales is actually rent. And then they have another like service fee of 4%. So like in total, it's between 14 and 16% that you're paying each month directly to McDonald's, right? This is just pure that every month goes away, right? So and in average, like a franchise owner at McDonald's earns roughly 6%. That's why every McDonald's franchise owner makes roughly in a year, like on net sales, between 1.5 to 3 million. And then the net profits are actually just like 150K. So if you can compare this now, there's only 6%. It's not that much, right? But Mark, there are hidden costs. What do you think are the hidden costs that they don't tell you at a McDonald's franchise? Because like 150K is not bad, right? If you say you have 150K profit, for your own place, that's pretty good, right? And that includes your
It's not
salary.
bad, honestly. Oh, really? That includes the salary?
Yeah, of course. Because you calculate all all your salary, you pay yourself salary, etc. So, Mark, what are the hidden costs? Because like when I was deep diving into this, I was like mind blown.
All right, I have an idea. All right. So first of all, that most people don't know, McDonald's is one of the biggest real estate companies in the world in terms of most of the money they make through real estate, right? It's not selling burgers. They own the land, like Lucas mentioned already. So they're making a shit ton of money with that.
I mean, 10%, 10 to 12% each of the total sales.
And they own the freaking land afterwards. It's fucking insane. Also, afterwards, I'm guessing because it's a big company, they have everything streamlined. So, for specific services, I'm guessing you have to use in-house specialists. So, if there's something that, I don't know, they have a promotion going for, I don't know, special burger, or hey, you want to specialize your own franchise a little bit, you have to pay them to come in and fix it for you. So, I don't know, might be they fix your fryer.
Alright.
You have to buy their specific fryer, etc.
Alrighty.
No,
Mark.
No.
Well, we go in the right direction, but we've all been to a freaking McDonald's, and you're like, it's hot. It's freaking hot, Mark. We still back to ice cream, and you don't have Lucciano next to your place. So, you go into McDonald's because it's not that far away. Right? And you go in there and be like, hey, can I have like an ice cone? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, this machine is not working right now. You're like, God damn it, every freaking machine is broken. Now, like, why did I not have anybody to fix it?
The infamous ice cream
exactly.
in McDonald's.
It's the infamous McDonald's ice cream like machine. But the problem is with this machine, headquarters has to send an engineer to fix it. So they're not allowed to fix themselves. That's why they're waiting so long. But now, to sum up all the hidden costs that people don't really realize is, for example, when McCafe came out in the last few years, they came out also with like their own, they had their like very own barista coffee, right? So every franchise owner had to buy out of their own pocket the coffee machine, which cost like $13,000. Everybody, right? Exactly. So, I mean, you don't have to do the upgrades. But if you don't and you fall under a certain line, then they don't have to prolong your contract, right? They're like, okay, thank you for your franchise work, but because you sign
wait. What line do you mean?
All right, so there's always the bottom line, right? So no, in general, if they're not happy, because they're always sending out somebody to check out the location, right? So if your McDonald's is not update to their standards, meaning, for example, it doesn't look the same way as the rest, they come like, okay, I'm not going to prolong your contract, right? Because you always do the franchise for a certain amount of years.
But not everyone has a McCafe in it, so
no.
I'm curious to see.
That's just one. But I'm saying, all right, you don't have to have a McCafe, but if you have one, you have to like they all have to be similar. So, for example, other things that's super interesting is, Mark, after like COVID, when COVID hit 2020, you had to. Everybody loved that little create your own taste kiosk. That's what they call it. So basically, you order with that touchscreen, right?
Yeah, self-service. Yeah,
exactly. The self-service machines. Now, these costs were like over 130K. Like implementing per all branch, of these. Per branch, per franchise owner. And then, I mean, you don't have to implement it, but if you don't want to, right? I mean, then. There's always the risk that your like contract doesn't get prolonged, right? So that's why the 150K sounds really good, but there are so many hidden costs that add up. May it be, for example, McMuffin. So the McMuffin, when it came out, you need to have an oven. All right, so that's another 3K. So all these things add up, and that can lead to that you're basically like if you don't go up to the standards, that you fall under the line, and they're like, okay, guys, sorry, no, we're not prolonging it. But if you're always up to standard, there are always costs that are not covered by them. I mean, some they cover partially, but not all the time.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy part. So it doesn't stick with just like, all right, these are the fees. Well, they tell you don't have to do it, but would be bad if you don't. So I think that's really, really interesting. I would love to know also what Lucciano has. I mean, sadly, there's not that much information on it. But I mean, if you have so much margins, I think that's really, really. There's still margins that you can. That's not bad. That's really, really good.
All right, then let's jump to the next section.
But
In general, Lucas, what are opportunities and risks like of these kind of situations?
exactly. I
Like, I
want
mean,
you to
obviously,
jump
you have,
right in there right now, and you already got me right
yeah,
there. You got me. This guy is
I got
smart.
you, fam.
All
All
right.
right. So first one is obviously scaling up benefits of economies of scale, right? Jumping back from McDonald's, from fries, now to scooping up our ice cream. Economies of scale. The problem is with like smaller ice cream parlors, if you have to create your own ice cream, you have to buy first of all the machines. Luciano
Oh,
does
for
not
sure.
need ice cream machines, right? Because you just order it and then just deliver it with trucks.
Yeah.
Second of all, you don't need the extra labor. They're not creating the ice cream in house, so you don't need anyone. They just need people that scoop. You don't need anything specialized, etc.
Yeah.
Makes it also much cheaper to produce because you can buy at economies of scale, at scale and bulk everything. So you can buy, I don't know, vanilla extract at, I don't know, at a ton, not at a liter. So these kind of things obviously make the price per scoop cheaper and the quality standard always the same. And additionally, you have a brand value, right? A brand positioning. Everybody knows McDonald's. At some point, everyone that loves ice cream might know Luciano's. Everyone associates that, hey, this is high standard, high quality, high brand value, thereby higher profit margins, higher values.
I agree, but before we go into the nitty gritty, I want to talk more about more macro plays. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
imagine you're in Scandinavia, Canada, and it's winter. Do you feel like eating ice cream? To be honest, well, if you're a lover, maybe, but most of the time not. So I would also like seasonal. So for example, if you're in southern countries where it's or like southern states, let's say Miami, etc., this might be it's all year round, it's perfect. But in like colder places, like you have less demand during winter. Like or sometimes they even close. Like for example, in Germany, if you have the local ice cream stores, they close, right? They only open till October, maximum November, and then they open up in April again because it's just too cold. Nobody feels like eating ice cream.
Well, obviously, that's called seasonal fluctuation, and that's obviously a challenge during colder month. But I'm sure that Luciano and all this stuff is that they can then change their business model also to just to Uber Eats. You just buy these, etc. Right? You can do some fluctuation in that sense because they have economies of scale. They can produce at mass. That means they can also
Yeah.
sell them at some point in grocery stores, etc. Oh, that we didn't mention that before, by the way. So usually ice cream places or ice cream that is sold in grocery stores has a profit margin of 20 to 30%,
Yeah.
which is still really, really good because usually it's not that high. And so you can still sell at a mass scale or not mass scale, but you can go specific stores and in these winter months because people eat ice cream at home as well. They just might not go to your ice cream parlor. So I think there is opportunities to still benefit in these other off seasons, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, I
All right.
completely agree.
So, Lucas, what's the overall verdict? Franchise, yes or no? What's your opinion? What are
So
the benefits? Do just give me yes or no, and I'm gonna say the other side. You go ahead. You like it, you don't.
I like it for people who don't want to take too much of a risk, but don't want to work for somebody else. So that way, it's a good option for them. But for other people, I don't think it might be the best option. So, for example, if you want to be like completely, no, all right, I take it back. Yes to franchise if you don't want to work for somebody else, but don't want to take on big risks. That's it.
All right.
That's my
I'm
feedback.
gonna say no to franchise because you're still taking a lot of risk on. Think about it, the initial investment for this one is 750,000, so you still have to pay for that. That's still
Yeah,
risk. You're bound by that franchisee or that contract. That means always you have to up your standards. That
yeah,
means if you don't execute properly or you made an initial bad choice in the location you're going to, like have your place in, you're fucked. They can always change the rules and it's like, hey bro, you're out. You're not coming back. You're not getting a license. So I'm gonna
that's
say
true.
in that sense, no. Still love the idea, but I'm this for the sake of this argument, I'm gonna say no to franchises.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we got
But
both options.
we got both options. I think in general, it is cool though. Personally, I just took for the argument. I don't like it, but in general, I love franchises. The idea just, well, not McDonald's. I don't
But
like their burgers, man.
but I have to also
I don't.
consider you should always read or talk to other franchise owners before especially if you want to open one, because there are a lot of costs, right? And also the risk, for example, if you fall under the like line for McDonald's, they just cut you, right? So even though you have a contract of 3 or 4 years, after 4 years they might not renew your contract, and then so you're still dependent, but you still can use the brand name, etc., which helps you like doing this 4 years. So I think that's a good business for sure.
All right, I'm just gonna give the key takeaways, guys. You need to understand costs, revenues, profit margins in any business. This is in franchises, as well as if you start your own parlor without a franchise. So keep these in mind. Do the math. Franchises, they probably do a lot of math for you. They have also some guidelines, etc. So it might be easier. But if you're opening one, talk to other ones so you know how the experience is, also how the owner of the franchise interacts with the other franchisees. All right, I think
sure.
that's it, bro.
All right, I love that one. All right, every audience, please let us know what do you think. Do you like that one, or do you like them more shorter and talk about more topics, or do you like those deep dives? Let us know in the comments, and yeah.